Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joined from a remote, undisclosed location deep under the earth, but still only a stone's throw from Glossop, he's my co-host, he's Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, good evening everybody, welcome on aboard.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us for another week. You know, somebody recently asked me if I was one of those conspiracy theorists, so I replied, why? Who are you? Who sent you? Who you working for? Hope you guys and girls are all well.
Who are you working for?
Who? It's a fucking Men in Black. I hope you guys and girls are all keeping well and safe. Thanks for coming along on another listening adventure. New repeaters, new listeners as well as repeat offenders.
Yes.
We've got a good show for you tonight. We'll be joined by our guest, Karl De Leeuw, author and climate change campaigner, who's joining us to talk something a bit different tonight, though. We'll be talking all about moon landing theories. Pretty interesting. Interested in what Karl's got to say, to be honest, and add to the ongoing moon landing debate.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, there is. To be honest, it's one of those that's been going for quite a long time now, hasn't it? And there's been so many theories. A lot of it's been debunked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a lot of it's been kind of, looked into or hushed up. Well, we'll be taking a bit of a deeper dive into it. I think Karl's got some questions. We'll try and answer them for him. Or try and work it all out. But before we go any further, what have you been up to this week?
Hey, I was looking into animals, to be honest.
Looking into animals with your X-ray vision?
I was looking into the social reaction together as animals, because as a species, we are a species of creature within, the animal kingdom. Yeah,
but we've got kind of, I think humans are different to every other animals, aren't they? Because we've got opposable thumbs, and we've got a social sort of connection and obligation to each other, haven't we? So I think it is, there's not very many animals that have, this type of network.
Animal to us that does that on trust, because the big I worked out that the biggest issue was trust. Trust another one of your species to help you if you're in trouble, or feed you if you're in trouble and stuff like that. And there seems to be only, apart from us, one other species, and it's the vampire bat.
Really?
Surprisingly,
yeah. So what are you do see them all hanging around upside down in caves, though, don't you? So it's not if one of them was broke its wing, another one would bring it some food and you'd look after it. It was more down to feeding, because after 3 days, if the vampire bat doesn't have any blood, then it will die. It's past its starving level and it will die. So because there's millions of the fuckers and you can't get blood from one item. They feed other stranger ones to them. Right, okay.
That they don't know, but they cuddle each other first. They groom each other.
Bless them.
You give them a cuddle. And then they will feed.
You're all right, mate? Do you need an hug? Do you need an hug, mate? You're having a bad day? Yeah, I'll have some blood. All right.
Yeah, but that was just one aspect. I mean, there was another one where one set of monkeys...
See, in that respect, they're better than humans then, aren't they? What I mean? No one's knocking on my house going, do you want a pie?
Oh, yeah, true. Well, you
want a nug?
Better than the monkey one with the finger in the eye. One of the monkeys...
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
I think it is. That stick their finger in another one's eye for around about 7 minutes... to get that trust and support with each other, and it's
that's taking liberties slightly. It's like, stick me finger in your eye. If you don't budge, then we've got a trust.
Yeah, and the social of animals and that
social niceties.
Yeah, or not, because if you think about it, we trust each other on a daily basis. We have got so much trust on the next person next to us to not run us over.
It's true, actually, isn't it? We do take that for granted. The fact that we trust everybody on the street not to just run up and kick us in the face or stab us or run us over. Yeah,
exactly.
On a daily basis.
Someone's going to help you.
Nice one. Yeah. Nice on humanity.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, some of them don't. Some of them just
But then it got me thinking about our
you're out of the trust circle, mate.
It got me thinking about our social system and how I think life would be a lot better if we had more smaller villages, with roughly around about 200 people. So everyone has their social duty and, set more of community.
Well, it's kind of like that phrase, isn't it? It's like when people talk about the environment and stuff and they say, think locally, and and that acts globally, doesn't it? Because you kind of, by not trying to take on the world and all of its problems, then, but just trying the local problems. And if everybody did that, then we wouldn't have an issue, would we? Because, everybody would be thinking locally.
Yeah, I doubt we would have much of an issue with money. We might have an issue with crime, but if we have enough police officers, we'll be able to do it.
This is the problem. Well, it's not a problem. It's kind of one of those, isn't it? It's like where we're in the middle of where it used to be like that, where everybody fought locally and just helped out their own communities. Whereas now with the communication the way it is and the World Wide Web of being able to speak to Australia or America within minutes, seconds, then
which is a mint thing.
It kind of opens you up to not just think locally, because these things seem local. Do you know what I mean? They seem more local than ever, to be honest. And I think, it's like it does become a bit more difficult because, things that come up on the news where you're like, shit, that's really kind of impactful, but what can you do? But I don't know.
Yeah, these are the things that we have to deal with, and come to terms, and, deal with day by day. But it's one of them.
Start of the episode. Well done.
I don't think cities work as well as they meant to work. You know what I mean? I think it's smaller communities work better than a big base of communities. Because don't forget as well, we have seemed to have a thing of when we come together, we follow one lead, even though it might not be right.
Yeah. Well, if it's not been proven recently that, but well, you're agreeing with me. You followed him with your bloody fucking, you like the Pied Piper. Anyway, moving on.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So we've got.
What have you been up to?
Well, we've had a busy week recording stuff, haven't we? Recently, so we had a pretty busy week last week. We felt like we were constantly recording with one thing or another. And so other than that, I had a couple of days off social, so be back on it tomorrow, should imagine. Other than that, I watched the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, which was a billion times better than the theatrical cut. I've got to admit.
It's funny, actually, because I just said to you, I was just watching it before we talked.
There's a reason why it's on the TV, because, whoever's got the broadcast rights now is like, fucking Justice League, let's get it on the telly. Yeah. And then anyone who's like, all right, I'll sit down, I'll watch that. It's like, well, you're robbing yourself, because you could just be watching the Zack Snyder cut, even though it's 4 hours long, but it's worth it. And to be honest, I've got big opinions about the DC movies, but I thought this was good. Thought this was all right, this. And then left me kind of thinking, well, fucking Warner Brothers best pull the checkbook out, because I think the fans are going to be expecting a bit more from Zack. Do you know what I mean now? Because I want to see what happens next, to be honest. Yeah. So
you get the hypes now, you got to stay there.
Got to hyping me up. So, definitely recommend that. Obviously, WandaVision finished a couple of weeks ago, which meant Falcon and the Winter Soldier started this week on Disney Plus.
That's true. Yeah.
First episode was great. Thought it was really cool. Addressed loads of stuff about Captain America and how one of them, or Falcon, was asked to take up the mantle and he doesn't feel like he's ready for it and stuff. But ends with a big kick in the balls for Sam. Got to admit, mate. Oh, I felt that one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So definitely not literally, metaphorically. Yeah. Definitely worth it if you're a fan of Captain America and all that. Check that out for sure.
Go for it.
Other than that, exciting news!
Oh wow,
we've got some new merch coming.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got a limited edition T-shirt coming very soon.
Yes.
You're gonna want it. You're gonna want it. Oh, yeah, you're gonna want to wear it with pride.
All the time.
Right. And I expect, because it is a limited edition, that it sells out. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll be announcing that soon enough. But we'll let you know anyway.
Start saving your pennies.
Other than that, it's just been a bit of a blur again this week, to be honest.
Yeah.
Plenty to do. Like I say, it's just been a bit of a lazy one. Bit of kind of like hardcore at the beginning of the week with loads of recording and then a bit chilled at the end. But, you know, that's what weekends are for, innit?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, last week's Chain Connection was a tougher. We're rolling it over because, to be fair, I ain't really checked the answers. It's my fault.
Fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
So we've had some in, but I haven't checked them, right? And I'm not even going to say that I ain't had the time, right? It was just one of them things. I forgot.
Lazy day, man.
I forgot, right?
Yeah.
So next week we will be following up with Chain Connections, and we will have a new Chain Connection for you. Can you give us a recap on the clues from last week, Taylor?
Oh, I can.
Just for those who missed them, anyone who wants to play at home.
Well, let's go with the first one was we abuse it daily. Sometimes we've not even known about it.
We abuse it daily, and we sometimes don't even know about it.
Yeah.
Wakey, hands off Snakey.
Is people have tried to make it free.
Okay.
And third one is the world needs it.
Okay, so if you got all those clues...
what do we need all the time?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Freedom!
Very tricky.
Well,
you're using it now. Let me just say that. There you go. Bam.
Oh, you're confusing me. Last week's one was even fucking ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but into the sense that I was like, I don't get it. And then when I got it, I was like, fucking hell. That was easy.
Right there in front of you, innit?
Well,
right there in front.
This
thanks to everyone for sports thingy pod.
Oh, donating on Superpod free
donation, yeah,
and even just supporting and checking us out. I had some tweets saying that the people thought we were good and like the show. So we'll be posting that to our stream at some point pretty soon. To be honest, I got an email from the Superpod organisers who were sending me the video footage as well. So we'll be posting that to YouTube in full soon.
Oh, yes. Wait.
Well, this week's episode is brought to you in part by Audible.
Yeah.
At the moment, you can get a free trial offer. It's a great way for new customers to try audiobooks and make the most of every moment. The trial includes one free Audible book of their choice. Theirs to keep even if you cancel. Prime customers receive 2 audiobooks with their free trial. It's pretty good. You can choose from the world's largest selection of audiobooks, including bestsellers, new releases, sci-fi, romance, mysteries, classics, and more. You can get like all the Harry Potters and stuff.
Yeah,
you can.
If you're into that.
If you're into it. Also, like War of the Worlds, they do like some good stuff on there at the moment.
Some old books.
I'm still going through what was it, Neil Gaiman's Sandman, which is pretty cool. You can download and listen to the world's best storytelling, enjoy audiobooks, original series, and much more on the free app. You can go and get that by following the link in the description. And like I say, cancel any time. Job done.
So bam, get down there and have some fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, so this week we're joined by Karl De Leeuw, author of various books, including The Dyslexic Code, The Universe Code, and The Health Spring Code. One of the world's leaders in climate change campaigning for the reduction of atmospheric methane, and the founder of Let's Live Longer Now. But Karl's joining us here today to talk about something a little bit different. One of the greatest conspiracy theories, in fact, popularized by Bill Kaysing. He was an American writer and scientist who claimed that the Apollo 6 mission, or the 6 Apollo missions during July 1969 and December 1972 were actually hoaxes. So, that's right, we're going to be talking about the Great Moon Hoax. And thank you for joining us, Karl. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you, Taylor and Gas, for having me. And yes, so this is, as you mentioned, I've written 3 books, and I've got a website called lightsurfers.me, and I've got 12 topics on there that I want to do my part to make the world a better place. And one of the topics is this topic. And the reason why it's so important is for humanity is because one of my topics is reincarnation. I'm a Christian, but I'm now a firm believer in reincarnation.
Okay.
And in fact, I've got a talk on how reincarnation was taken out of the Old and New Testaments, and some proof of that. But if you believe in reincarnation, then karma is very important. And the US cannot be the leader of the free world without correcting the moon issue.
Okay.
And for my Universe Code book, it took 7 years of research, because obviously a massive topic.
Yeah.
I must say, for the moon, I only researched it for a day.
Oh, okay. Right. I was going to say, because I mean, personally, this is something that I've been fascinated by for years. And I mean, I'm quite au fait with a lot of the conspiracies that are linked to why people say we never went to the moon. So I'm quite interested to hear what you've got to say today. So, I mean, how do you link that? So you're trying to say that, you know, we can't kind of move forward with a brighter future if we don't sort of kind of acknowledge the lies of the past.
The lies and the mistakes.
Absolutely, because that's how karma works. So countries, people have karma. So we come to Earth. Earth turns out to be hell. So we come to Earth for life lessons. If you don't do your life lessons, or if you tell huge lies or murder people or whatever, you go back to the spirit world, and then you've got to come back and redo your life lessons.
Right.
So that's one thing. But then countries have karma as well. So and my main mission in life is world peace. And it's got to come from the truth. That's one thing I discovered. The truth will set us free.
Yeah.
So getting to the truth of the moon is absolutely essential if we want world peace. How can you have the biggest lie in humanity's history, the biggest, stunt being pulled off, and you have to rectify that.
So, obviously people do believe that this, the moon landing was a conspiracy, and probably one of the biggest conspiracies, if I'm honest.
Out there,
Why do you think people have such a problem with it? Why do you think people just ultimately don't believe it?
Well, in my Dyslexia Code book, I researched a lot on patterns. So in the environment you brought up with patterns going into your brain. And then you compare everything in life with these patterns.
Yeah.
So if you grew up believing in the moon theory, and it's a bit, I've got a topic called Jesus in India. It turns out Jesus was in India, ages 13 to 29. There's just one verse in the Bible that says he gained wisdom.
Yeah, because apparently went missing for all those years, didn't he? For a long stretch.
Yeah, he was taught by Hindu scholars and Buddhist scholars. And there's documents that now we need to get out there. And there's actually a lot more to it. It's a very interesting topic. But, on your question, what was your question again?
I just think, how people have take issue with,
the truth about.
The truth as it's presented. For a long time, there's been kind of like, people can pick out anomalies and, say, I don't think, in my opinion, this is correct, or, that shadow doesn't point the wrong way, or, a number of reasons. My personal reasons is, I feel like it's the communication aspect or the broadcast and the technology available at the time and being able to pull off a stunt that vast and broadcast it globally in the time that, in that sort of time period where is like, we've just proven it the other week where, the Perseverance rover touched down on Mars and they say, well, we won't get any high def images back till tomorrow. It takes 24 hours, and it's like, well,
it's a lot longer then.
It was like back in the 60s. How did you manage to do live broadcasts and a global event? That's the bit that kind of gets me, in terms of the moon landing and the lie. What people say is a lie. But I understand that these are a laundry list of things that people claim that things are out of place, and that things just don't add up.
Yeah, so getting back to your, and I know what question you also asked there is these patterns and why people believe it. It's you just grew up on that, and then it's very, very difficult to prove it otherwise. But so it's a hard task. I've got 12 topics on lightsurface.me. That's really very difficult to get people to change their views. But getting the truth in all these things is critical. Yeah. And I think the moon one is going to be, funny enough, of all my 12 ones, the easiest one. And so if we could delve into it, I've really just picked from a day's research. Now, I've got one podcast on lightsurface.me on moon landing. And then one of my brother's friends from South Africa on Facebook said, he's saying that it did take place, and I learned a little bit.
Okay.
And so what I've done is I've just picked 5 photos. Sorry, because one of the things I learned is less is more. It's one of the secrets of the universe. And rather than discussing the 20 things we can discuss, I just want to sort of focus on 5 things that stood out for me.
Okay.
So,
well, hopefully, we can. I know a little bit about some of the bits that you've kind of put forward, so hopefully, I can maybe impart a little on this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, absolutely, I'm very interested to hear your views on it as more experts on this. So, I know we're going to share. So, I'm now going to. Oops, I'm off the thing. So if I just press the share button there,
okay,
and go to Ecosia. So I use this browser ecosia.org because it's a ethical green browser out of interest sake.
Okay.
But if we put it on there, so anyone that's on audio, we're putting in C on rocks moon landing. So the C like a capital C,
okay,
on rocks moon landing. And then enter that and put in images. So there's a C.
Okay,
so
right.
A lot of the people that like yourself say that's saying this is hoax. What I've heard is that they say it's the people in the studio that did this somewhere in America. They left tips on purpose.
Okay.
It's as they say it's so obvious that they left the tips. Now, what my brother's friend in South Africa said is that C was imposed on later on. So
yes.
My comment to him was, at the end, I'm calling for us that we ask New York City. I just picked New York City. Could be anyone to take NASA to court. Now, if we have a court. If we can take this to court, have 2 teams of specialists on both sides, and then a jury. The people saying that C is NASA's C, that should be able to come out in a court case. So, what's your view on that?
So you're talking. So the moon rock that we're talking about, it was photographed in one of the later Apollo 16 missions, and in some images that you do find, it has a C on the rock, which obviously makes people believe that it could have been a prop.
Yeah.
Now, we did an episode actually on how Stanley Kubrick could have been involved in this moon fakery, and in terms of. His work at the time is very quite. He would be the guy you called, wouldn't you? Yeah, and and the sea rock does kind of fall into that. You could argue on one hand. Now, I did do a bit of research and investigating on this. The original photograph, which is in the NASA archives, marked AS16 107 17446. Is comparable to the sea rock, as in it's a match.
Yeah.
If you wanted to Google that image,
he's out there,
would come up, and it doesn't have a C. The people at NASA actually say that this was something that was added, or basically a glitch, or a hair or fibre that was basically translated over from a reprint. So whilst a reprint was happening, this anomaly got in and kind of showed up on countless photographs afterwards. But then again, NASA would say that, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, but also you've got to consider, if let's say I was the government and I was planning this, I would be doubly checking everything before I actually walk away from it.
It's a funny thing, though, because, I mean, it's like, if you wanted to go to kind of more pop culture references, fans out there of the, Game of Thrones, in later seasons were kind of finding like coffee cups on set and stuff like that, as detailed and as kind of like on it as you try to be to get everything perfect, there might always be something that's left behind that gives it away, sort of thing.
True, but like in this kind of case, I would imagine that it'd be double, triple,
Oh, of course, if it was a government, the man who left that,
like 50 people checking everything.
So you're saying that potentially it could have been somebody on the crew who wanted to kind of leave evidence or leave a mark to suggest that everything isn't what it seems to be,
or it might be a symbol.
No, that's where when I researched it, which was like 2-3 years ago. That's what some of the film experts sort of said. But from what you discussed, the only way that this is going to be confirmed is in a court case, in my view, where you've got two teams of experts, and you sort of just battle it out.
There is actually a way of doing that, because you wouldn't need to battle it out, because on one hand you've got one group of people saying that photograph is the legit photograph and it's got a C on it. On the other hand, you've got NASA who then say, this is the original photograph, these are the negatives, we can test both and see which is the original, and then, like you say, battle it out, argue it in court. But
it should be data stamped.
It's the thing, who's going to initiate it, who's going to put in that, like, that first strike to say...
I'm going to send this... One of the things about my 12 topics is the butterfly effect.
Okay.
And everyone must do their part.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send this to New York City. I'll find out, as soon as I've got it on light surface, and ask them to take NASA to court.
Oh, do it. Yeah.
Requesting.
If we everyone just need to do their part in getting this somewhere, because until this lie is cleared up,
would you not think that, like, answering the question of extraterrestrial life and that as a cover-up would be more of a question to be answered in terms of, in karma, especially because, we've been led to believe for all these years that there's potentially we're the only ones, and but there's evidence out there to suggest that there's been life coming and visiting our planet, and that's been covered up, like especially things like the Roswell incident, and those types of things. You're right. in terms of like government secrets, there's a lot of countries that have got a lot of things to answer for. I'm not wrong. So, but in terms of taking NASA to court, I think, it'd just be a case of like definitively once and for all, let's put this to bed. Let's get all the evidence on the table and have two teams of experts independently say once and for all.
Yeah, true, but that'd be a very costly, a very long battle.
I reckon so.
Yeah, and I hate to be honest, I would hate to be the jury in it as well.
I know, It's like you're not only that, you're just being faced with philosophical sort of debate, aren't you? Rather than...
Yeah, not only that, if you do bring it to a jury, we're only going to get one side or the other.
It's opinion-based, isn't it?
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to hit the truth, because, like, every day we get hit with like adverts with like stuff.
It is funny. This is the thing, because you can kind of take it one way or the other, can't you? Go for it. Sorry,
Yeah, so the answer to that is I've got a topic called the creator versus God that goes into all of that. And the US won't be on its own. So I'm not promoting going to court on extraterrestrial life because it's really the whole world as a karma on that, the countries.
Yeah. Well,
and if we had to go into that topic, perhaps if you're interested, we can cover that topic under
I'm
the
sure we
show.
could talk another again.
No
Problem. Yeah,
because that is really big. Okay, is it possible I can go on to Shadow's parallel moon landing?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just telling you what people are saying. So if anyone that's now auditory cannot see the photos we're looking at, if you just put in Shadow's parallel moon landing in a browser, click images. Now, my brother's Mike's friend in South Africa, he came back to me saying that the reason these lines are not okay. So first thing to explain for anyone that's haven't got your knowledge, that if the sun is millions of miles away and two people are standing, or many people are standing on the moon, the shadows have to be parallel. It's impossible not to be parallel. Now, what?
Well, not impossible. I mean, I've got a degree in photography and lighting, so I do believe.
Okay, so can I just say what someone said to me?
And you go for it.
Over.
Yeah.
So what they said is any photo taken from the body, with a wide angle lens, that doesn't have to be parallel. So I can fully understand that. But just before you give me your expert view, because I'm really interested in this, I'm just going to click on a photo here. Just want to find a photo that's not taken from the body. Oh, yeah, we've got Apollo 17 TV transmission. So I'm going to click on that one now. So there are two shadows for anyone on video. But if you're not on auditory, you can go in there and you can see from Apollo 17 TV transmission. There are two shadows that's not parallel, and they at the right angle. They're not taken from the body. How do we? It's because we're looking.
I mean, I'd explain it as in the sense that you're looking at it in a 2D perspective, where we're not experiencing the full sort of third dimension, if you like. Whereas that looks like a flat image to me. So you've got to take into account terrain, the kind of positioning of those two people. They might look like they're quite close together, but in reality, one of them could be several meters behind him.
Yeah.
And the way those shadows play out, you've got to remember it's an alien world, and there's only been a handful of people who've apparently been there. So, I mean,
these were the last ones, actually.
I'd say, I mean, in terms of most people saying who with these kind of shadows, right, that insinuates to me that there's a secondary light source, right, rather than just one light source, right? So if you're saying that those shadows aren't parallel, that says that there must be another light source on set, if you like, right? But we can replicate this on Earth. It's actually been, on a few occasions, been replicated that, lines and shadows don't really behave like that. I mean, in terms of kind of like lines not being parallel, I mean, artists have been using techniques to kind of get crazy perspectives and use those sort of lines for centuries, and in terms of how a shadow plays it, I think in terms of like what we're used to from our perspective, where from down here on Earth, shadows behave a certain way, but you can replicate those situations. It's all about the bigger picture. On first glance, you might say that looks a bit kind of suspect, but if we take into account the three-dimensional space, the terrain, the distance between the subjects, and the light source maybe being a bit lower, you can replicate those results. So, I mean...
Or even shine off the ship.
There's another one where, one of the astronauts is coming down out of the capsule, and he's fully lit, whereas the ground's in shadow. But it's, again, another reason for that is the fact that you've got lunar dust, which is reflective, which reflects a certain amount of light back up at the figure or astronaut. You know what I mean?
Okay. So just listen to you as an expert. You seem to have two opinions there. You're saying perhaps it could be correct, but you're also saying normally if you have that, there needs to be a second.
There'd be a secondary light source, definitely. So I mean, that's how you could create that, and that's how you could replicate that. So I do agree that it could be faked in those circumstances, and you'd need extra extra light sources, but yeah, exactly, it can be like that in nature. So again, it's another 50-50 split whether it's and I think this is why people have such a hard time with it, but I mean, from my perspective, knowing kind of what I've been taught, then I kind of look at it and go, well, no, that kind of seems a bit obvious to me, whereas I mean, it's easy when you know. I always say that, but I mean, the fact is, it's like not everybody does, and like you say, your logic would tell you that that's off, and I totally understand that. And like I say, first initial time when I saw those photos, and I thought, yeah, no, they've got a point there. But then as I picked up information and learned my trade, I kind of went, actually,
okay, so therefore, NASA is saying they want to go back to the moon in 2024.
Okay, yeah.
So therefore, after 2004, when they go back again, that footage and the shadows then should be able to
it
show
should match up.
Yeah.
Whether these photos is true or not. So, and then my other point will be it will have to go to a court case and experts.
This is the
where
thing.
You can actually test things on surface. Okay, you can't test it on Mars.
This is the thing.
Point.
Any lie of this magnitude would come out eventually, because there would be a point when we did land on the moon legitimately, and then all the evidence, they might get up there and go, it's nothing like what they said that what was reported back. But
we need to get there. We need to have more evidence on both sides. So we actually need to be in that place and environment to reconstruct that environment.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can, before we even consider to go to court, because it will be a waste of time, because ultimately we have to be there to be able to do it.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's like you don't know until you're there and kind of witness it for yourself.
Not saying there's no black hole.
Okay, but that doesn't stop the sea. That doesn't stop the sea and the rock for going to court. But on this one, now just while we're on this one, to cover the third one, which normally I put in shadow length moon landing, but on this particular one photo that we're looking at, for anyone that's in video, the two shadow lengths should, if people are so close to each other, they should be the same length.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what makes me think that he's further back. Do you know, like in perspective? Do you know what I mean?
It might actually answer the question.
So say again.
So it might actually answer the question, because of the distance of the people and the distance and the way the shadow looks. It would be that person was actually further than what we're recognizing now that they're looking like.
Yeah, but even if
it's like forced perspective, isn't it? It's like how you can...
I'm not a film expert or anything, but if the sun is millions of miles away, then it's the same source that's shining over these two people. And they cannot be more than 50 meters, either 5 meters or 50 meters apart from each other.
Okay.
Even if they 100 meters or 500 meters, if the light source is coming from the sun, those shadows have to be within millimeters from the same length from each other, no matter how you look at it, because there's only one light source, which is the sun.
Yeah, I see where you are on that.
I see where you're coming from.
I also think,
but again,
it depends where the person's standing.
I think again, it's like terrain. It's like there could be jaggedy terrain there, or something that's kind of like obstructing, and kind of deforming. I mean, to me, that looks really, you could argue that shorter shadow is the same length as the other shadow, but it's got more terrain to climb. So if you were to if you were to lay that, say, like jaggedy edges sort of terrain, so then that shadow's going over the terrain. If you were to lay that out, it'd be the same length. Does that make sense? That makes sense to me.
Someone at the bottom of the mountain and someone at the top.
Yeah,
look at it in that way.
Okay, so again, this needs to, as you say, we need to wait for 2024, or we need to go to court. Okay, just because of time, if we put in the next one, which is Horizon Moon Landing. So this is the next one where some of the experts says this cannot be on the moon because you can see the end of the horizon. And after, not the next one we're going to look at, but after that, we're just going to play a little video that I've got of the Perseverance that landed on Mars.
Okay.
Where you can see the immediate terrain distance, and then you can see beyond that there's horizon.
Yeah, but is this on Mars?
No, this is now. So this is not. Well, yes.
No,
so
I mean you're
can,
comparing Mars to the moon.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that you can't really do that, can you? Because one's got an atmosphere, so you would see a horizon, and one's quite a lot smaller.
So you have to compare it with the size of the planet, the gravity pull, and all them aspects to each one.
Yeah, I mean, like when the Mars rover touched down or came into land, it had to go through a thick atmosphere, weather conditions. The moon's a vacuum. There's nothing there. There's no atmosphere. There's no anything, and I think that's the contributing factor to why there's just blackness and no stars, and kind of it's just I can't see that being kind of like a comparable comparable scenarios.
That's like a baseball against a marble,
or an apple and an orange.
Yeah. Although you can get them roughly the same.
Okay, so then we've touched on the next one. So let me put in here no sun moon landing. So let me just click on that. So what I discovered, let me just bring up my show notes here, is that, as you said, the moon is in a vacuum.
Yeah.
If the sun is directly from the top, now I understand the moon is in a 27-day cycle.
Yeah.
So 13 and a half days it's got sunlight and 13 and a half is dark. So
yeah, this is Pink Floyd made famous the dark side of the moon. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, is that where that comes? Okay. So halfway between the 13.5 days sunlight on the moon, halfway between that, the sun will be directly from above. And I understand that it's then 127 degrees Celsius. So for Americans, that's on Fahrenheit, at 100 degrees, water boils. So this is above water temperature, above boiling water temperature. Yeah. Now, on the Earth, we've got four layers, or the stratosphere layers.
Yeah.
Which reduces the heat. So that's the reason for that. Now, so looking at these photos, so what I would like to ask you is, you've got sunlight here.
Yeah.
There's obviously Armstrong didn't take out, or others didn't take out, there's on the itinerary, there's no spotlights that they took out of when they landed.
No.
So
no.
This light has to come from the sun.
It's supposed to be natural light, yeah.
It's supposed to be natural light. So if this is natural light, they cannot be on the dark side of the moon. They have to be in the 13.5 days. Now, what they say is they had to be at sunrise or sunset of this 13.5 days when it's sunlight, because if it came directly from the top, and it's not coming directly from the top because this is coming from the side because you've got shadows, then it would be not too warm, might be 10, 20, 30 degrees Celsius. So I can understand that. But then why is there no sunlight in the background? Why is there darkness in the background?
Well, it all comes down to, firstly, the moon's in is it a geo thingy orbit?
Yeah.
So it doesn't turn. Yeah, so it's always the lit side is always the side facing Earth. Yeah, for one, right? So whenever you look at the moon, you'll always see the same side of the moon because it doesn't rotate.
Never changes.
It's stuck in a geo-locked orbit around Earth, right? So if until last year, nobody had actually been to the dark side of the moon. It was China who touched down a probe or a rover of some description on the dark side of the moon, and it was the first time anyone's ever kind of ventured round the back. In terms of how it's lit, it's always lit like that. It's lit, like I say, where it's the bright facing side of the moon. So, like you say, if the sun would be on the back side of them, because you've got that, you're getting those images of Earth, the blue marble, if you like. And I mean, I'd say I've got a bigger problem with that image, if anything, the blue marble image, than any of the moon landing. But I'd say that depending on where the sun's position was, I'd say it was on the back side of them, but more to do with like, I don't know. To be honest, I'd say it was literally low sun and kind of like on the back side of them. So, you know, like taking the photographs, I'd be feeling like I want the sun on my back.
Yeah.
So the moon is in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. The Mars, you've got atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you say there's different rules that apply. So we're going to look at the clip now of the Mars Perseverance.
Okay.
So, but where there's sunlight in the background, and this, because to me, if you're on Earth, or if you look at the Mars Perseverance and you look at, say, we click on that photo there, you've got, well, all of them, you've just got blackness. There's no stars, which is something you'll immediately say, why is there no stars? But I would have thought that blackness should be light, as we're going to see in this next video clip.
Yeah, but it's not always.
Well, no, again, because like I say, it's like when we look, I mean,
stuff like that. You look outside and you'll see the Earth, and you'll see no stars behind the background or anything like that. It's all on, I suppose, the camera imaging.
Well, this is it. Well, yeah, I suppose, but I mean, you'd still probably capture some light. How cameras work in that respect is like, you know, if you wanted to take a picture of the Milky Way, you'd go on a really, really long exposure and you'd leave your camera taking that photo for a couple of seconds. It wouldn't be just like a click, you took the photograph. Yeah. It needs to get as much light as possible. So any film that was being filmed would potentially not have the capability of bringing in as much light. Yeah. So you wouldn't see stars in that respect.
Yeah.
Because
don't forget, it takes 8 seconds for a light from the sun to reach us. Yeah. So imagine from stars from
billions of miles
away, if not trillions.
In terms of what you're saying there, I get what you're saying, because obviously we have a day and night, but that's when we've rotated to the point where we don't, you know, it's dark. Yeah, right. And because we're not facing the sun anymore. Whereas, you know, when you've got the moon, which is, like I say, in a tidal locked orbit, then it doesn't have a day and night. It's always got one side of it that's constantly night and one side that's constantly day.
Yeah. So when you look at all these photos, now this photo here, there's some light there that seems dubious. But if you look at all the other photos, they're all dark. So at some point, surely,
I think that's atmosphere that's the. I mean,
yeah. I mean, they didn't even realize when they got there that they had a really big issue. That actually their spacesuits that they were wearing was actually going to be leaking, so they had to shorten the time limit because the actual dust down there is so sharp and so brittle, and so as well with the shine, it can shine.
The sort of reflectivity of it.
So that is another issue why we didn't go back as well, because the darker areas is really like razors, standing in razors, and they've cut the uniform to bits.
Oh right, okay, I didn't even know that.
So Taylor, are you saying that we've been to the moon?
I'm saying we've had both. I'm saying that we've had a film made just in case, or just to put in a political
I could buy that.
era,
I think
political way, and we actually tried it, got there, did what we did, and come back. But my issue is the film. The film that they supposedly a lot of the film is disappeared. So then, where's all this other kind of film come from?
All the other footage.
Yeah, because
I could buy that. Like at that time, they'd put all their eggs in one basket. They'd said, "We're going to go to the moon. We want to do it. We need to do it." Plus, they were in a race with other countries. They didn't want to lose face, so it'd be easier. And this is what makes me think this is probably what happened. Is they did go to the moon. They sent the rocket up. It was witnessed going up. They did land, but the evidence that was put forward to support it maybe is the issue because
that's the cover.
It's all a little too good, isn't it? Do you know, if you think about it, it's all and back then
and mistakes along the line, which you would expect
it
anyway.
was a technological feat.
To do. And like I said, we needed to get there. We just America just lost the Sputnik had gone up and was taking photos of whatever it wanted to. So then they needed to get up there and prove that we're the number one against Russia. And then you got to consider as well, that means then the 2 cosmonauts that went up to space and lost their lives meant for nothing.
Well, yeah. This
the animals, the
so
chimpanzees
and stuff. You reckon it could be both.
And challenge.
Now, I'm still concerned that whether you're in a vacuum or atmosphere, that there's no sunlight from any angle yet. Can we play this clip?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it, mate.
This is the NASA Perseverance on Mars now currently, and just need to get past the skip the ads.
Can we full screen that as well? Just for the viewers at home.
Brilliant.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so this is the first images sent back of its first initial testings, wasn't it? So it was stretching its legs and
checking out cameras that they got.
Its systems.
It wasn't the first images that came out the first. It was the second images, I think.
Yeah, because the first image came back quite quickly, but it was a really low-res black and white image, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they were waiting for the HD one to kick in afterwards, or the K4, is it? 4K.
4K. Okay.
So now you're saying it's different on Mars because you've got an atmosphere, but I would have thought, you can see on the far side, right there, you can see the horizon.
Like
all the moon
range.
shots are just the initial horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't understand how a vacuum or atmosphere will make a difference. To me, I can't understand the difference. Why the one will be different to the other?
They're inside a meteorite crater.
Well, in terms of how an atmosphere would make a difference would be because you've got all these atmospheric gases that, that surround the planet. I mean, as an environmentalist, I would have thought that you would have kind of been aware that this climate that is around Mars is, just as kind of fragile as the Earth one. And it's something they had to pass through. It's probably not got a breathable atmosphere, but it's got an atmosphere of some description, whereas the moon doesn't have any atmosphere at all. So, in terms of, when you look out on a nice day and you can see, I can see for miles because there's no cloud cover, but then the next day it's grey and you can see loads of clouds. That's your atmosphere, isn't it? That's the thing that is the haze in the air that you see on these videos and this footage. That the moon just doesn't have. It doesn't have any atmosphere. Doesn't have any sort of gases. It's just a vacuum. It's just a rock floating in space.
You got to think as well. There's a lot of dust storms and what they called tornadoes that happened.
Oh yeah, on Mars.
Yeah, so you've got to consider. I mean,
dust
it was
as
only
well, yeah.
Was it? It was only 2 years ago. In fact, I think it happened again.
You've just hit the nail on the head. It's got weather.
The whole planet went into a dust bowl, and no one knows why it actually went into a dust bowl. At first, I mean, when the volcanoes go off there as well, you should see you can see the plumage from the satellite images. So you've got all that to consider as well. And with only the thin atmosphere as well, it's going to keep going. It's not just going to go right plump. I'm gonna fall over here. It's going to keep flying around for hundreds of years if necessary.
The thing is, go on. Sorry, sorry, Carl.
So on Mars, if there's an atmosphere, as you say, not if you say there's an atmosphere, we know that. Then if anything, there could be like pollution or something. So if anything, you shouldn't be able to see as far.
Yeah.
So if anything, you shouldn't have been seeing that real horizon as we see at the back.
Not necessarily.
Well, like you say, because, I mean, like I said, in terms of pollution, I mean, it's not the pollution that we kind of see on Earth. It'll be just like dust particles and natural.
Yeah, and you're not hitting the normal surface. You're they're actually inside a crater. So you should be able to see everything within that crater. But these craters like massive.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean? They're not small things.
Like huge areas, aren't they? Or like
I mean, that rover just went to an area it's small area.
I think a lot of the time things get lost in perspective. In the perspective of things. So it's like when people say about why do we never see the curvature of the Earth and then claim the flat Earth thing? And it's like, well, it's just that we can't visually get that far back, to appreciate the full perspective of the things, these things.
Yeah, that's right. We're only getting bits of it.
Personally, I don't believe I'm right or wrong. It's one of those things that it's going to be asked and asked again for so long that,
it's going to be the ongoing question.
We could be both right, could be both wrong, could be totally something else.
We probably
this
never
is the
find out.
problem.
Okay, could we go on to the Van Allen belt?
Yes.
So, for any listeners, it sounds like your listeners will know what it is, but for any of my listeners, Van Allen belt is a radiation belt around the Earth. Mm-hmm. And if we can just listen to this little video clip.
Really?
Is there any audio with that? So the Van Allen belt is basically the magnetic radiation that is generated by the Earth as it rotates. Yeah?
Yeah. It is indeed.
So it creates a radiation belt or a plasmasphere. Yeah. Right, yeah. I think that image was just showing you there. There is a lot of people who do have problems with this. They say, "Oh, how can we have got through the Van Allen belt and this radiation? And how did the images survive? Kodak film going through this radiation? I do. I'd say
they didn't even know about it realistically until some astronauts went up and they
started seeing lights, didn't they? Like stars in the spacesuits, but literally in front of their eyes,
and for a short period of time. But they noticed it on the way down and the way back.
So we're not getting any sound here.
Yeah, we're getting no sound.
Can you hear that?
No, there's no sound coming through from it.
There's no sound.
No.
On my side, there's sound.
No, we've got nothing on ours.
That's why we were.
That's why we were kind of going over what we were seeing there, because we weren't getting any sort of any audio coming through.
Is the sound better now?
It's literally quiet as any. There's no sound whatsoever.
Quiet as a mouse, mate.
I don't understand why that is.
So then we need to stop this, because I can hear the sound on my side, and I don't know why it's not playing
Will you explain it from?
Could you explain it? Yeah,
where you're coming from it.
Well, just a summary of this little video is what they're saying is that for the Mars Perseverance, they now trying to figure out to put man and women on the Mars, how they're going to go through the Van Allen belt. And so what the people saying that the moon landings never took place is what NASA is now apparently saying is that for the moon landings 50 years ago, they just got it right. They just hit the Van Allen belt at the right angle.
Yeah.
Now, what I also heard is they said for radiation, you had to have aluminium of 10 millimeters thick.
Yes.
That's what some people said. Otherwise, they would have been radiated. Where the actual capsule was like a 2 millimeter thick or something like that. Yeah. So just your views on
difference.
That?
Yeah, so the Van Allen belt, it's one of those strange ones, isn't it? Really, but I mean, in terms of like, what I've read up on it was that it was just kind of, it's obviously killer radiation is what people say, but it's been the Van Allen belt. It's obviously the Earth's magnetic field and solar radiation. I think what I read an article a while back saying it would be dangerous if people hung around in it. So if they were to spend several days in it, then they'd probably feel the effects. But because they're whizzing through it in a couple of hours, it's quite reduced. And I think they do know it's dangerous, but it's one of those whereas, again, if we talk about like the space race and that need to show Russia up, I don't think they would have been that bothered, about the safety of their astronauts. You know, like
at the beginning, no.
They managed to hit it at the right angle or whatever. It's like they probably knew that it was going to be some sort of effect on them, but it's one of them to save face. It's like, well, it's too late now. We've got to do it.
Yeah, but they did find that there is little areas where they can get through, but they will have some radiation through them, but not as much as they would. And I believe they have it like there's injections and stuff like that to kind of to reduce the radiation from getting into you, even though they have to wear the suit as well as they're going through.
It's crazy though, isn't it? I mean, so don't hang around in the Van Allen belt, kids.
Oh you don't hang around there. No, it's not like the local shop.
So what you're saying is you think the radiation wasn't sufficient an issue, where some other people say
it is.
I think it's like, again, a matter of perspective. Yeah. It's like when you think radiation, you automatically think Chernobyl or, nuclear war or nuclear bombs.
But you got different radiation types.
When your radio emits a radiation, your telephone emits a radiation, and it's like,
alpha waves, Bravo.
Think about it this way, right? We've got the planet Earth spinning and it's creating a magnetic field, right? Would, in reality, that field be strong enough to vaporize a human? I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it might be, but...
No, it's just one of them that it goes through your body and through your DNA and stuff, and it could give you stuff.
It could affect you. It could change. I mean, in terms of like, we know radiation has caused cancers and stuff like that in the past, and I mean, I'm not. I think if astronauts are definitely putting themselves at risk if they are going through this
and a lot of them have died.
It's like putting your head in a microwave, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean they are brave people because they are literally putting their life on the line.
On the line.
And going through these. I mean, there are experiments. If you think about it, we're still experimentation on getting to a different planet and stuff like that. And a lot of them do die of, like, they've had cancer and they've had this, they've had stuff like that. Yeah. But like, we need to. If it wasn't for them, we won't be going where we are now. We won't be going forward and actually trying to get to the moon, put a base on the moon, put a base in orbit, and then onto Mars and continue.
We're at a point now in history where we could go out with a weather balloon and put something up into low Earth atmosphere ourselves, throw a GoPro up and film it, you know, and it's getting to that point where independent companies like SpaceX and countless others are taking it into their own hands, and they will get to the moon, they will go and land there, and they will be able to definitively say NASA was talking a load of rubbish, or no, it is actually like that up here, and we'll find that out. And I mean, I love where you're going with it in terms of why you believe that countries need to get these lies off the table and come clean and generally sort out the karma, you know, to create a better future, which is...
There's a lot of skeletons and they all need to be brought forward and talked about. But
definitely.
This is the problem, though. We don't get together and talk about it. We've all got our own issues and we've all got our separate ideas of what we need, what we want to do.
So your you know, concept of taking NASA to court is great, but the next person's could be totally different, and then it's takes precedent.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Dr. Gray who I'm always on about, and he's begging the CIA to take him to court, the government to take him to court, because then he can prove, once he go to court, he can prove the evidence that UFOs exist and that it is an issue and it needs to be dealt with. But every time he's egged him on, they're not willing to do it because they know as soon as you want to go to court, it will have to go public as soon as it goes to higher court. And they don't want that.
That's why I've got 12 topics, and I would love people to take me to court on those. You know, I've got the topic on grooming of sexual grooming and stuff.
And if
like
they
that.
took you to court, they'd probably take you into a small court and separated, and not even being able to throw the information that you have out. If anything, I would have thought they would put an injunction on you to stop.
Yeah, just to stop you talking rather than anything. Yeah,
they don't want you to talk about this, so they will hit you where they can. And they will hit hard if it's necessary. So you just got to be careful on the line.
It's not uncommon.
But even if they did that, then you can take the matter to the press.
Yeah, but they've got the power.
Well, there's actually YouTubers, and there's a couple of YouTubers who cover conspiracy-based things, you know, when they put. And they're a bit more hard hitting than we are in terms of like what they say and how they put it across. Yeah. But they're removed, and you know it's like once they're removed, you haven't got a platform to shout it about anymore. And you know, trying to, it's like you kind of. I can imagine you probably just like screaming at the walls by that point because you've got nothing. You know, they've took your stage away. They've took the soapbox away.
Reminds me of Roswell and Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar, he was threatened because he said he was going to come out. He got caught. He was making videos, so he then decided, right, I'm going to bring it public. They closed him off. He never went to MIT. He never went to this company.
In fact,
he never did this.
They denied he even existed, stripped him from all of their... any time he worked on a government project, his name was stricken.
And he was only lucky that he actually had decent colleagues and people
who
went
said
to school to.
He worked here, who corroborated his evidence, you know, but ultimately they tried to wash him off the table.
And then you've got the Men in Black, like Roswell, Men in Black. You've seen something. No, you haven't. If you've seen something, we've got plenty of deserts here.
There's a lot of...
in any case, I've got 12 topics, so even if they remove one or two, it won't be... Okay, so this next article, NASA scientists admit moon landing. Now, this is in Empire News, I haven't seen that in major newspapers. But
no, you won't.
The article says, NASA officials today admitted that many conspiracy theorists have been claiming for years that man never walked on the moon. Chief scientist Alan Anderson said that the lunar landing hoax had gone on long enough and that it is becoming ridiculous to keep claiming that it has been the moon. You have to understand, NASA was under a lot of pressure when President Kennedy promised the nation that he put a man on the moon before the Ruskies. And space technology scientist Alan Anderson, we told him it was impossible. So he knew it had to be faked. And then it carries on like that. What is your comment on this?
Well, again, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, if let's start from the beginning. You've got one guy saying, I'm promising to get us all to the moon, and then you've got one scientist turning around and saying it's fake. I mean, You know, is it Erna von Braun?
Yeah, von Braun, yeah.
Do you know when they fired the first V2s at London, they said the rocket performed perfectly, yeah? Because he wanted to send his rockets to space. He wanted to send it, but it hit the wrong target. That's what his quote was. The rocket performed perfectly, but it didn't hit the right target.
Needed a controller.
Now, the way I see it is that, you know, people have always wanted to look up at the stars and want to do it, and there'll always be an independent person who will tinker around in his garage and, you know, a rocket scientist of some description. So, you know, it doesn't make me think. I believe that it's possible, yeah, but it's like if a scientist went to the president and said, "Oh, you're mad. I think this is stupid. It'll never happen. I don't think we'll be able to do it logistically." Yeah. Would you say that was just the one opinion of one scientist who probably didn't want to be involved?
To be honest, I went through another way of looking at it with all the photos of bases and stuff that we've been seeing and talking about over the years about this. The dark side of the moon, having this base here, having that and this here. If that's not true to me, then it's like I've just wasted my time on all of this.
Yeah, so what do you think? People are just too invested?
Yeah, there is too much investment in it. And it come from, and don't forget, all this space race thing as well come from Kennedy, and like Kennedy was like the number one.
Well, like I say, Kennedy did promise a lot with the space race, and like I think, said, at the time, those scientists probably thought, "Bloody hell, we've got a lot to do." You know, if we're either going to really succeed at this, or we're going to fail, and that's it. It's one of those, isn't it?
Don't forget.
But if they failed, would they not fake it anyway? You know, to make it, to save face. This is the thing. It's
but like, you got to keep it on.
This is what I'm saying, though, and this is the thing that will keep this conspiracy going for so long, because even a rational person can argue with themselves about this topic, because your rational mind says, well, this can't be right because of this, but then your educated mind says, well, what about this aspect, and that adds up with that, so that has to be right.
Yeah, you got to look at all the variables.
And then, but like I say, it's like you can really start contradicting yourself in terms of
the amount of time
some aspects to the other, if you like. So
yeah,
but say this guy Alan Anderson, say this is true, that he did say that he's now starting to blame Kennedy. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963.
Yeah.
The space race continued until 1969 and then 1972, so many years later.
So it was Nixon at the time, wasn't it?
One of my topics is sophisticated fraud in the UK construction industry. So I was in a quantity surveyor for 30 years in the UK construction industry, and there's a procured method that is highly sophisticated fraud. So 50 years ago, von Braun was a Nazi, and we're going to play this clip now. I hope it plays. That under his command, I understand he was in charge of the V2 center. There were 60,000 Jews working with these V2 rockets, and 20,000 died.
Yeah.
Now, what this scientist, Alan Johnson, is blaming Kennedy. But if there's anyone to blame, if there's any motive, it would be to assassinate Kennedy that might want to stop this whole thing. But he's now blaming Kennedy. I'm not saying that is the case. But
no, well, I think Kennedy was involved in a lot of shady things, to be honest. I think there's a number of reasons why he might have got assassinated.
But if you take it from the point of view, even if he was shaky or not, the issue is this: Alan Johnson cannot blame Kennedy, because Kennedy was assassinated 6 years before the first moon landing.
Yeah.
He had nothing to do. It was a huge, because when they said they're going to go to the moon, they had to go to the moon.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So is he blaming Kennedy for just sparking it off in the first place? That's what he's blaming Kennedy for. I mean, They've
been setting this off years before, and don't forget, Don't forget, it was Project Paperclip, which was to bring all the German scientists over, was actually illegal and unlawful. And actually, the president at the time turned around and said, "Do not bring them through. Do not do this."
Who was the president at the time?
Was it
Truman?
Truman, I think. Yeah. So what they did was the army brought them in. They brought them in, and the Red Cross actually were the ones who give them new passports and new identities to go and live around. And then the military brought the people to their positions for. I think there was a Belgium officer who actually did some nasty stuff, but then he got a big position. The reason why they were brought in
wasn't so they could get to the moon, was it? Right. Well, I mean, they had other
ideas of nuclear and stuff like that.
Right, there we go. We've got Bonnie today.
And this is Bonnie 20 years ago when she was von Braun's NASA secretary. Together we walk over to the library where she keeps her personal collection of von Braun memorabilia.
This is Mrs. von Braun, Dr. von Braun, and this is me. This is the exploration of Mars. I typed this manuscript back in the early 50s for Dr. von Braun to Bonnie Holmes. They say we have hitched our wagon to a star, but say, isn't that road bumpy? Affectionately, Werner von Braun. Looking back, I guess you would say he was handsome. I read an article recently that said Werner von Braun with his movie star good looks. It never occurred to me that he had movie star good looks, but looking back at some of these pictures, I guess he did.
He's a very handsome man. Were you ever tempted to have an affair with him?
No, we didn't have time to even think about it.
Nope.
But he was a married man, and I was a married woman, and no, it never occurred to me. There's Dr. von Braun and President Johnson. Here's a good picture of President Kennedy and Dr. von Braun. Liked President Kennedy very much. He admired him. In fact, he had an invitation, he and Mrs. von Braun had an invitation to join them for dinner. The dinner was supposed to be the day after he was buried. Everybody knew what that big B was. Anyone who got a note that had that B on it knew automatically that that was from Dr. von Braun. Everybody recognized that.
Later on, I discovered von Braun's initial on this Nazi document, which directly ties him to the management of slave labor during World War II. His full signature can be found on this Nazi document, provided to me by the German government, in which he requests labor, including prisoners, for his rocket factory in central Germany. And finally, I found Werner's signature on this 1969 NASA letter, sent to an official 2 weeks after the Apollo mission, in which he admits being a member of Hitler's SS.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
And to quote him, "I would appreciate it if you kept this information to yourself, as I think it could only harm my work at NASA if all this were given undue publicity." The Nazi program occurred in two places: development on the Baltic coast at Peenemünde, and manufacturing at the Metalwork rocket factory here in central Germany. Inside these hills, in giant underground tunnels, 10,000 slaves worked at once building von Braun's V-2 rockets. Over 60,000 slaves passed through these tunnels. 20,000 of them died here.
Got to consider, though, if he didn't come over, we won't be where we are today. You have got to consider that.
Well, no, I mean, it's like you always say, isn't it? And when things from war, a lot comes out of war, and I wouldn't say it was an essential thing for science, but I mean, it does kind of, every time there is a war, there's something comes out of it in terms of a scientific technology, like you say. I think that given enough time, that same technology would come out regardless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just sped up by these things. What happened there, obviously, is horrible. And to think that the NASA and the space race was built on that, is pretty shocking. And in terms of karma and having things to answer for, I think that's more of a secret that they've kept which is a bit larger than the overall.
Well, this is
moon landing hoax or moon landing conspiracy, if you like. The fact that one of their biggest, how would you say, biggest sort of trades in terms of like, and science sort of exploration is built upon criminality and kind of and slavery.
Well, this is why I believe like they didn't lose, they just
they just moved, they integrated rather than actually lose the war.
Because actually, it was only Germany that signed the peace treaty. The Nazis didn't. And there was only 17 that's ever been convicted and put to trial. So in that case, there should be, if you think about it, there should be thousands of people getting incarcerated for it. But after all that disaster and all that killing and death, they basically walked away with it. Basically,
yeah. I just think to have a Nazi that was in charge of killing 20,000 Jews, is incredibly bad karma.
It's like double standard.
Imagine 50 years ago, the brown envelopes, there was billions of dollars in contracts.
Yeah.
There was no incentive to stop the moon landing both from black backhanders, from contracts and getting backhanders, but also from Kennedy said, we're going to the moon from a prestigious point of view. So this is what makes it difficult. Now, I just want to end from my side, if it's okay, if I could just share thing again.
I hope she's back again. She's got a lot of info.
Bonnie's there. She likes... Okay, so...
She likes roses and nice dates on Tuesday.
I'm sure she does. I'm sure you're the type of guy who'd like to take her out.
Give us a phone call.
So for anyone on audio, I'm putting in on a search engine list of lunar probes, and then I'm going, say, Wikipedia. So my question to yourself is, you've had all the probes up to before the moon landing, so that I can stand. It's all NASA and USSR. Mm-hmm. So then you had the moon landing. So, okay, so that was up to 72.
Yeah.
But now, so say from 73, from over here now, you've got the USSR. And okay, so NASA, why is NASA after the last moon landing still, now before you answer me, I just want to carry on, is still sending probes? Now, you've got the USSR, you've got, what is that, Japanese license?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
So then you've got all these countries. There you've got China joining. There you've got India joining.
Yeah.
All these probes. Why are all these countries for 50 years been sending probes if man has already landed on the moon?
More information.
Yeah, I'd say so. It might be just a case of
technology upgrades as well.
We wanted to kind of test this when we were there, but we couldn't, and we still want to do that, or we want to. Some new science came up where like they'll go. So like now they might. Yeah. So we're in an energy crisis. So they'll be like, right, we want to find a new. We believe that there's an energy source on the moon, helium-free, is it?
Yeah.
That they're trying to mine now. And I think that's probably it. I think it's just a new science comes in, new technology comes in, new ways of testing.
Getting somewhere and getting some greed.
And whether it's worth financially sending a man, or would a probe do? Now, this is the thing. It's like everyone complains about probes, and I like to think them as, well, I'd rather send 50 probes into the unknown than one human life. Do you know? Because if there's anything goes wrong, that human life is way more important than a bit of kit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they've had 6 from 1969 and 72. They had 6 successful, according to them, moon landings. Mm-hmm. So it's tried and tested. I can understand there's one issue about the money, but it's already tried and tested.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've got all these minerals, you want to go there, you want to send a rig out there on a big moon, for 50 years, it makes no sense.
Well, now you're thinking that what we've seen is public information, what they've been good enough to put out into the news and to give to us. Yeah, right. And what we think, but, like Taylor was saying earlier, in terms of the dark side of the moon, there's speculation on whether there's already bases up there that, why did we go up there and then not go up there again for 50 years? Is it because we're already there and we don't really need to send any more up, when it's just a case of a hop, skip and a jump from the ISS?
To 2 minutes.
And every time we send someone up to the ISS, that's a cover, for them actually going down to a moon base somewhere. I don't know.
Why, from a prestigious point of view, NASA should want to blast it out to the world that they going back? Why would they want to keep that a secret?
Well, because
we're told to get off there.
Well, one thing is that they were told that they were told to get off the moon, or they encountered something while they were on the landing, and then they went on the 2
minute
and they've never been back. The other thing is that now there's a new space race happening right now, and it's a case of, like I say, this helium-3, which is abundant on the moon, is a great rocket fuel, right? So basically, if we'd use the moon as a sort of intergalactic petrol station, if you like.
To get to Mars,
whoever controls the moon generally holds the key for the gateway to the rest of the universe, if you like, because we can't go anywhere until we develop a ship that can take off and go as far as we need to. We've still got to kind of make these little leaps to different rocks.
Yeah, leaps to bounds.
Refuel and then go off from there. And I think that's the idea with a lot of these countries. It's whoever's got a permanent base on the moon then controls where else you go, because you can't go to Mars, you can't go to Venus, you can't go to anywhere else unless you refuel on the moon, which China own or America own or whoever else. So I don't know. I think that's why there's a bit of
battle.
Peak interest now, and or why they'd maybe already have an established base there on the moon. But again, it's all speculation because it's just what information we've been lucky enough to get.
In summary, then, one of the things I discovered in the Universe Code is that if you believe in reincarnation, and I'm listening to what the spirit world says, when you open your mouth as a baby, your soul comes into your body.
Okay.
And it resides in your hip area, the densest area of your body. And that's why the human energy field is like a bubble. They all go from your gut. And I believe very strongly on the gut feeling.
Okay.
My gut feeling about the moon landing, although, I've only now spent, say, a total of a day and a half and a bit, is my gut feeling is there's something horribly wrong here.
Yeah.
And your gut is actually more important than anything else. And I still think we cannot wait until 2024 for NASA to go to the moon again and we can compare those data to the current. I still think that we need to do something about it as soon as possible. And I'm still going to send this video to New York City. I'll need to figure out who, whatever.
I'll tell you, you won't get to court with it.
Effect.
You will not get to court with it. They will stop it before it gets to court. You could try, but I think, to be honest, it'd be a waste of time because, one, it's a little clip. It's a little bit of the information of the whole lot. And if we realistically, you want to get the proper judgment for it, you need the whole lot of the information, not just a little bit of information that's given. And don't forget, a lot of government departments destroy documents, even though they're legally obliged not to. So then you're going to get rid of information, and the information just isn't going to come forward. I agree
with what you're saying in terms of having a gut feeling that it's off.
Yeah,
it's just determining where they're off and what it is that where's the ruse. Because, like I say, I think if it is a big conspiracy, I think, in fact, actually, I found a bit of data on this because there was a scientist or a professor somewhere. I've got it here. Bear with me. he basically did, an Oxford physicist, David Grimes, he announced that he'd created a formula for calculating how unlikely or how likely it would be that a thing such as the moon landing or a big secret could stay hidden for so long. And according to his workings, he says that assuming everybody who was employed by NASA was in on the secret, say the moon landing, the cat would be out the bag within 4 years. He estimates.
Yeah, but then with that, you got compartmentalise.
Decompartmentalisation. Yeah, so it's like only knowing certain bits.
Yeah.
So
you
nobody
know about
really.
A tyre, you don't know about the engine.
You don't know the full story,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. That's a problem again. Not
wouldn't
knowing
have
the full
been like
picture.
that. Oh no, it wouldn't have been in these backhanders and stuff. It would be compared. It will be run by 2 or 3 people, and then you might have the studio that shot it somewhere. You know, those people there, and
yeah, but it's one of them that. It's one of them, though. It wouldn't be a small kind of journey and mission to do it, because it would be. I mean, if tomorrow the government come out and go, yeah, we've been lying about UFOs, blah blah, this, that, and the other. Can you imagine what the people would do about the government?
And then somebody else will turn around and go, nah, they're lying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like if they came out and said the truth tomorrow, there'd always be somebody else who'd flip that conspiracy theory and say, no, this is the lie.
Show us this, show us that.
And you can't please everyone, unfortunately. So what we're saying then, do you think that the moon landing happened, or do you think there's a bit more to it?
I think it's basically the same, but with agreement that there is something suspicious and smells dirty in the air, and in my gut feeling that there is something, probably something we ain't even touched on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be.
There is something going on, and we're not getting told, and all I want is the truth. And I think they've done both. They've done the film on before it, and they actually went up there, and it was actually... After the 17th mission, there was actually supposedly 3 more missions that was cancelled, but some astronaut has come forward with video footage showing that they actually did complete another 3 missions.
Yeah. So they kept it on.
Yeah, there was a little bit more
down
to it,
low. Yeah, I think that they probably did go, but I think that they fabricated quite a lot of the stuff to try and make them seem a little bit better than they were.
Yeah, because the film could have been shocking. The film could have actually been, well, we haven't really got a lot of the film, and that is a major issue.
I think there's a lot of difference of opinion with this one, and I mean we've got friends who kind of like will sit and discuss this for bloody hours, and it's like. And we never get to the bottom of it. So, no. But how about yourself, Karl? What you're saying is your gut feeling tells you.
Well, my gut feeling just tells me that there's something wrong here. Now, I'm going to say something that for your viewers will be, way out there. I was taught at the College of Psychic Studies how to speak to the spiritual.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
And so it's venturing into that. So most people, via automatic writing, most people there would ask to speak to ascended masters or angels. I think big, so I asked to speak to the Creator. And so now I communicate with the Creator, and it's through automatic writing. It's quite amazing what comes out. And the Creator said it never happened. It never physically even happened. So let's see. But there is something. I agree. Taylor and yourselves, that there is something fishy going on. Yeah,
big whale.
The truth. The last thing I want to say is what I discovered. The truth will set us free.
Yeah.
All that I'll say to people in NASA and whatever.
I'm really interested in your views on reincarnation and a couple of other things that you've touched on tonight. And I definitely would love to get you back on the show to discuss some of these topics.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely arrange that. But thank you so much, Karl, for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah. I'm sorry. I hope I haven't been a bit too kind of critical for you tonight. No. The opposite. To rehear it, because you've got a very balanced view on it, I try.
Absolutely is critical.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly going to. I've done one podcast on this, and yours will be the second one. And it will be very refreshing to hear a very balanced view on it.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for coming on, Karl. You've been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure we'll catch you again. I'm sure everyone will love to hear this. So, yeah, brilliant. Thanks again to Karl for joining us tonight. And he's got some great questions tonight. So, thanks again for coming in. And I'm pretty sure we'll be speaking to Karl again very soon. But right now, we got the news. It's the news! And as usual, we've scoured the World Wide Web to find you the hottest, sexiest, funniest, and all-round weirdest news on the planet. Spent around 20 minutes looking, so we've put the work in.
Oh yeah, we always do.
Oh yeah. Is there anything you've seen this week that you thought was a bit out there?
Yeah, I did actually. I thought the Welsh First Minister is considering an idea of men going indoors, staying indoors from 6 p.m. onwards.
Why? Can we not be trusted?
Exactly, I think because more men gather together than women gather together. Supposedly,
when you mentioned this story, straight away I thought this was something to do with, because it wasn't a couple of days ago I saw there was something on the news about men being threats and needing to be putting them under curfew and stuff, and I was like, well, it's only a few bad apples in the bunch, it's like you can't,
this is it.
Put all men under curfew because... I understand your reasons why, and I don't want to go into that, like in the sense that I don't agree with what you're saying, but I don't agree with the curfew. Do you know what I mean? I'll put my foot down with that. Going out, shops, need milk.
Legality on it, it's going to be... I mean, there's even people waiting for it to happen because...
Been locked down enough recently.
Sexism, for one.
It is a bit sexist, isn't it? I mean, for this is to do with COVID, right?
Yeah, mainly to do with COVID, to try and stop more people gathering together.
So basically, pubs are shut. All these villagers, people in Wales, I assume. Well, people all over the place, really, aren't they? But in Wales, they're saying that there's a bit of a problem. And they're saying curfews. What time are the curfews?
6 p.m.
6
onwards.
p.m?
No man allowed on the street they're looking at.
There'll be a lot of ladies nipping to the shop for stuff.
Yeah, that means no kids as well,
How do you mean?
That means all the teenagers are going to be indoors. That means the mothers can't take the kids to shop because you've got a kid there. You've got an adult.
Just got to leave him with the husband.
You've got a male kid. Yeah, you know what I mean. So then, daddies are going to be under pressure. I've got to stay at home. I can't go out and express myself because the pubs are shut. And
I've done all the DIY. I've gone through the house, done every job here. Yeah, and I know what you're saying.
Minds up. You know what I mean? And you've got to question it as well because...
Yeah, there's days when I think, mate, I just need to get out of the house and go for a walk. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes that could be after 7, after 6 o'clock in the evening. Do you know what I mean?
It's one of them that if the government are actually in the wrong, who the first who are going to defend the people? It's going to be the men. So you're knocking down the men first. You're sort of knocking down, trouble barriers because... they don't agree with what the government's doing or what certain sections.
You can't.
Do.
You know what I mean? If people are not respecting the lockdown rules, right, and saying, these groups of people congregating, then it should be you're all under lockdown. Yeah. You're not targeting one gender or group.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't agree with that. I think if they've got a problem,
he's going to backtrack. He's going to have to backtrack.
If you've got a problem, you lock down everybody, and if you want to point, and then it's down to them to point fingers as who's to blame for it all. Right. But the problem being is we're getting spikes, and we need to quell it. Right. And if we're having groups of people hanging around on streets, then nobody's allowed to hang around on the streets.
Well,
you can't just pigeonhole them.
Oh, exactly. And sorry to say,
I'm pretty sure there's plenty of men in Wales who are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing doing exactly how, acting appropriately. So, Yeah,
it'd be a set few, but at the end of the day, COVID is on the rise again, all countries at the minute. We've had 37% our eyes here.
Is it because he was saying it was going down, and we've had like everywhere. The best figures since the first lockdown.
Now, even Europe is considering stopping the AstraZeneca's vaccine from leaving Europe.
Oh, right. Why is that?
An argument over there. Yeah, I think it's because of the Brexit argument still. I think they're just, doing the threats, being a bit of a div. But,
it's ours.
So just be careful, everyone, because, it's on the rise, so we need to stay indoors.
This is the thing. It's like people, I think, as soon as Boris said, we're at the road to recovery and the roadmap to freedoms and all the rest of it, people kind of went, right, sweet. And I think a lot of the problem is as well, it's a lot of people who have had the vaccination or the first vaccination who automatically feel like they're allowed to do what they want now. Yeah. And totally. The problem is we've already been told that you can be a carrier still, if you've had the vaccine. Just because you're immune to its effects doesn't mean that you can't pass it on to somebody who isn't. Do you know what I mean? Totally. So... you've still got to be careful and do your part. But anyway, I don't want to preach and I don't want to judge you or anything like that. But
Boris has been warned not to set back off this now, basically. He's been told to carry it on.
Talking about lockdowns, I found this interesting study. A 15-strong team will remain in a subterranean quarantine for 40 days without phones, watches, or even natural light.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right. So a research expedition is underway, which will see a small group of volunteers spend 6 weeks underground. So they're going to head into a cave system. This is French-Swiss explorer Christian Clot, who's put the team together. And they're going to try and see how they survive underground. So it's 7 men and 7 women, aged 27 to 50. Who've joined him on this underground expedition. Temperatures will be a consistent 12 Celsius or a 54 Fahrenheit. Yeah. And they're going to try and see what the effects of living subterraneously will be.
Yeah, they've done this, I think, last time, it was about 5-10 years ago was the last one I heard about where they're trying to...
Crazy though, isn't it?
I think older more people, because we were discussing this beforehand, weren't we? And I was saying they haven't done it in a range of young to old or ethnicity and stuff like that.
No, they're all like Caucasian between say 30 to 50, and there's not very much diversity to what between them. I mean, there's 7 men, 7 women.
People, I mean, they could be still cared for in there, but and different temperatures as well, because different temperatures will make your brain work in a different way as well. If you're in the cold, you're thinking more, warm. I need to find warm. What can I do? And if you're in the heat, you want shelter. You want this. You want that.
Well, like I say, I think the conditions are quite consistent throughout the system. But I get where you're coming from in terms of having a wider demographic of people to I mean, because they are essentially human guinea pigs, aren't they? They're seeing what the effects of isolation, lack of sunlight, be living in an underground sort of environment for so long is bound to affect you psychologically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people who've, come out of the lockdowns or remain in lockdown, and kind of they'll say that their sort of mental health capacities or mental health's been tested over the past year. So 6 weeks in a harsh environment like that doesn't sound too thrilling to me. I'll be genuine.
True, but depends. What about the moolah? How much money am I getting?
It's voluntary, isn't it? I don't think they're getting paid. I think it's I'm not sure. Hopefully, if it's maybe they are, but I mean, as far as I was, aware, it looked like it was a voluntary thing.
Good.
For science and stuff.
Yeah, that's good then.
Well. I found this story. It made me laugh, but it's sad as well, actually.
Okay.
It's pretty sad, but it's pretty joyous as well. right?
Oh, right.
So, Barak the sheep, yeah.
Barak the sheep.
Barak the sheep, yeah, right, has lost 35 kilograms of fleece, yeah, in a much-needed trip to the barbers. So this sheep, right, was living wild, right, and it was a mess, right? I'm going to post the photo because he needs to be seen, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Barak, yeah, right. He's just a big walking cloud, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely could be made.
But he's like the stuff that, you know, like that gets, you know, trapped to the airs of your bum. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Klingons.
A big Klingon, right? But obviously he's been found by in an Australian forest, right? And his fleece was so overgrown that he could barely see or eat or anything, yeah, right? In a really bad way. So
he's like, what's that moving across there? There's a bush moving.
When they removed the fleece, it weighed 35 kilograms or 77 pounds. The sheep, which has been named Barak, was obviously found by a member of the public, and they contacted the Edgar Mission Farm Sanctuary near Victoria, about 37 miles away from Melbourne. And they looked after him. They've given him a shave, and a haircut. And he's a new man. He's an absolute new man. He's a before and after photo. I'm going to post both of them because they're so great, lovable, and you'll love Barak. Yeah, and he's a bit thin because he wasn't able to kind of look after himself properly. Do you know when he was? You know, we couldn't even see. He was so overgrown. What?
Strong bones, though. Definitely carrying all that weight with it.
Wow. Oh, he's ripped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's the ripped sheep. He's ready for his female
He's
counterpart.
like, right, I'm so glad I've got all that weight off now, right, where the ladies at.
Yeah.
Didn't do all this working out for nothing. Well, I just thought it was cute. Have you seen anything else? You saw Barat, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Funny, that. Yeah, it was a funny little thing, man. Funny. And, it's been announced or found that the National Crime Agency in Britain has been looking at all your data for the last 6 to 9 months. Through
I talk about sheeps, and he's like, right, now I'm going to scare you.
Yeah.
Your data.
Sky or Virgin, we definitely know 2 of them are being used, and there are court cases on the way for it.
Okay.
Basically, it's another Snowden, but like in Britain. And they've had access to everything you've been doing on your electrical items.
But when you say electrical items, you mean like phones at laptops, anything where you kind of gather data up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just been analysing every piece.
So why are they trying to get a kind of an idea of what people's habits are in a lockdown year?
Bastards, I think, and trying to find.
I think if they try. How do you mean criminality?
Well, systems have been in like this. There's been a lot more criminality on transferring stuff from one place to another, so they can find data.
You mean like cybercrime, right? Okay, so I mean, in terms of cybercrime, they'll have an idea of who's doing what. Yeah, there's no reason why they need to look into everybody's.
Well, and it's unlawful.
And it is unlawful, and this is the same shit that they pull all the time. They try and say. Again, with the lockdowns in Wales, what we were just saying earlier, a few bad apples spoil the bunch, and it's like you'll end up losing liberties because the governments say it's for our own protection, or they'll say it's for the greater good and we need to catch this perp. You know what I mean? But it's like,
10 liberties I've spotted that we've done.
Seriously, it gets worse every year, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
I can understand why people kicked off when we all got locked down and stuff. You know, if you didn't understand or didn't believe the whole COVID thing was genuine, then you would say this is just a big thing to keep you suppressed and sat at home doing nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But when I find out more info, I'll bring it forward. But as far as I'm aware, they're going to. They're going to be blaming the 2 companies that are actually allowed the National Crime Agency to actually look at it, which is basically FBI.
Okay.
So, I'll give you more info when it comes in.
Okay, thanks for that. Have you seen what's going on in Australia? They never have it. They're not having it easier, actually, at the moment, right? So, I mean, obviously, I love Australia. It's a nice place. I've never been. I'd love to go, though. Yeah.
Their news is fantastic at the minute as well. It's just set to none at the moment.
It's just, well, how do you mean? Because every time I see a story about about Australia, it seems to be like they're going through hell. Yeah. So, in what respect is it phenomenal?
To be honest, compared to all the other newscasts,
news agencies,
and stuff like that, they've been telling more of the truth than any of the others. The others are still
that's
covering
fair enough, right? Yeah,
and they've been bringing, and they've got the format, and it's been mostly on the Sky one, but they've been mostly bringing stuff that they've had an issue with, but also we all got an issue with, like China. Or if you
I think Australia have got a problem with China because they're saying that you can't have resources. Yeah, they've got a problem with Facebook because they're making billions out of the country without paying content creators any revenue. Yeah, right. They've got problems with the reason why they've got issues with people is because they've got valid fucking reasons to have issues with people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and when they come up and say, well, I think you should be, paying our people for running your adverts, or we think we need fucking heating and oil too. Then it's perfectly reasonable.
Because they turned around and said we need to have an independent investigation into it, and China said no, we're doing it. And because of that, that's why they've got the backlash. And then there's little tits and tats, and it's just getting more and more stupid, you know what I mean? It's one of them that didn't get sorted.
Obviously they had problems last year with they went from fucking one thing to another, didn't they, with fires and COVID and all the rest
floods
of it.
As well.
Floods
they had also.
Yeah, they've gone from fires to floods to disease, and now they've got a fucking a plague. Yeah, a plague of biblical proportions is being reported across eastern Australia, with locals who have basically found months of mice, rats, and stuff are getting into the houses, stores, and cars. And obviously, with heavy rains, it's wiped a lot of them out, but it's still quite bad. I mean, to the point where I was thinking, is this a case of that all these animals are being displaced by all this shit that's going on? They say, obviously, don't they, right? Or if you think about the Pied Piper or whatever, right? Or, whenever you hear about kind of like a disaster, I'm sure Pompeii, when that was being burnt, all the animals were fleeing as well as the people. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
they say that rats are the first to desert a sinking ship. So, is this something that's kind of made them...
Prophesying something, you reckon?
Well, not prophesying something, but like the country's been ravaged by fire for one, right?
Yeah.
So food sources for animals that live in the wild are probably a lot less, right?
Yeah.
So that means these animals are forced to come into the cities to find food. So I wouldn't be surprised that this is why they're seeing so many, because these are animals that probably would have been happily living out in the wild, undisturbed, but now they're like, shit, there's nothing here, we can't survive.
I think another reason is of the case of the breeds the breeds have just bred too much, and there comes to a point where it hasn't got food in that local area, so they're all bunched together and gone, right, where's the next food source? Right, we're going all in here because we know there's food source in this direction, but then get wiped out, and then 10 years later they're going to do the same thing again. Because I remember this has happened in Africa quite a number of times as well, and I have seen it in Australia. I think 1990 was a point where it happened again, and they said it was biblical. But I think it's a case of that, but rightly so. All them other stuff you were saying on top of that as well makes it even more a chance that it was going to happen, to be honest. But it's not good, but at least it happens once in a while, once in a long time, and not once in a short time.
Yeah.
Because then there's an issue. You know what I mean? But you don't want more snakes, do you? But you're going to get more snakes now because there's more food.
There's more rats and more mice. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because Australia is like known for the most venomous snakes.
Well, I found out actually every single snake in the world has venom. Doesn't matter what it is, it has venom. It's just how much potent it is to you.
Okay.
Yeah, even grass snakes in England, we have it has venom, but it just isn't potent enough to actually damage us.
Well, daddy longlegs have venom that aren't.
Yeah.
Well, but apparently, if a big daddy longlegs bit you, you'd be fucked.
Crayfly's supposed to have venom, but they haven't got anything to actually dig it into you. Well, so we're lucky on that front.
Did you see about Apple have been fined?
What for?
$2 million in Brazil. Well, right, okay. So, I mean, if you're going to sell a product, at least, make sure that it's all packed up and you're getting what you pay for, yeah?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Be pissed off if you got like a... And, I mean, Apple are known for it as well, aren't they? They send out, phones, but then you've got to buy all the accessories separately. Yeah. Now, I mean, this isn't the case here, but, I mean, like, what they've done in Brazil is they sent out a load of the new model iPhones, but they didn't include a charger, right? So, basically, the São Paulo Customer Protection Agency have decided to fine Apple because, obviously, they're not adhering to consumer laws over there or anywhere, really. Do you know what I mean? So
it should be fined a lot more than that.
So sent them sent them a fine. But I mean, at the end of the day, you'd be pissed off if you got your new phone and then you have to shell out another $40 or whatever for a charger.
Yeah, and you might not even be able to get that charger straight away because it's a new phone. So everyone's going to be after them charges, and plus there might be a stop back, which makes it more valuable.
How many charges do you reckon the average iPhone shop generally orders in? Do you know what I mean? And then if everybody who's bought a new phone hasn't got a charger, then that's a fucking nightmare situation.
That's a lot of customers going out that door and going somewhere else. That's what that is.
That's why I don't use an iPhone.
No, I don't. You know what?
I can't stick headphones in them for one.
Saying that.
I like headphones with a jack.
Yeah, and no messing
call
about.
Call me old-fashioned, but I like my headphones to have a jack.
Yeah, you don't want to be set to a set standard. It's like they're controlling you. You know what I mean? It's cases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Telling me how to play with my headphones. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Cheeky bastards.
You're going to do it my way, or you can go.
I don't know why they did this, but do you know fans
With me now is the Heritage Foundation's Niall Gardner. It's great to have you back.
Hello.
Niall.
Hey, neighbours.
What happened there? Well, I actually was trying to find a story here. It was I know the gist of it to talk about it, but it was Meghan Markle and Prince Harry fans had started up a GoFundMe page to try and raise some money for the two who obviously haven't got enough pennies.
Oh, no, skint, aren't they?
Well, tell you what, right? They put a lofty a lofty sort of goal on the GoFundMe page. They were looking for 14.6 million, for the two.
Whoa!
Don't know what that was for.
Yeah, that's for the chauffeurs and security and all that.
They managed to raise a whopping $104 before they closed the account and ran.
See,
do you know what I mean? Was that just a payday for him? Were they trying? Well, imagine if somebody put in the million. The Queen. Like, Philip.
It gives you jewellery.
They've put a Kickstarter up. Let's throw him a bone.
Well, this is it, though. You got to watch for these kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Wherever a scammer can get in, they will try and
watch what you're doing. And on that note, if you'd like to donate to our Patreon, you can go to www.patreon.com/neverastraightanswer.
And I can honestly say we are 100%
100% legit, mate. 100% legit. If you like what we do, you know where to go. Go and throw that money in.
Yeah, come get some little pennies.
Daddy needs to eat.
Yeah.
Daddy needs some milk.
Yeah, Daddy needs some milk.
Anyway, have you seen anything in the news this week?
Again, there's been another report of meteorites.
There's been a few recently, haven't they, really?
Yeah. Dorset, Somerset, Dover and Jersey. They heard a sonic bang kind of noise. But then it was reported that satellites had seen this meteorite come in at 2:50 p.m. in the afternoon, which they call a daylight fireball.
Right.
And witnesses started reporting it from 3 p.m. So we already knew. It was a bit late, but we already knew it was on its way in. We had like a 10-minute, warning, but it obviously blew up in the sky, which is, in a way, more dangerous because don't forget
fragments.
There's flights.
Yeah, flights, drones, helicopters.
And it's more powerful.
Paragliders.
As well. It's more powerful than if it hits the ground. If it hits the ground, it's got a lot of the power goes through the ground. But when it fires above the ground, then it's there's a lot more
shrapnel,
power.
I suppose,
a lot more weight. Yeah, but
cool though, isn't it? What's causing all these meteorites? Because weren't the one that was supposed to be hitting us pretty soon?
2029, I think it was, and there's one that's supposed to be at 2036.
Potential. It's got potential.
Yeah, but everyone ramped up then, didn't they? Start when?
Of course, yeah. Because this is why the deadline was. Everyone wants to get to Mars and the Moon by 2024.
Just in case. But we have had a lot, and I mean a lot of close ones. At least over the last 2 weeks, I've seen 2 that have just gone by us, which were very, very close. But I don't know. I was actually thinking about this today, about is it possible that they know that something like, if there is a meteorite on the way, where's the best place where the governments will want you? Sat at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they don't have to. Then there's more chance of finding survivors and stuff like that. But it's one of them. It just made me think. Mate,
no, you just fucking figured we got a census at the moment as well, haven't we? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Government census. It's like, right, just so we know who's in these homes when the meteorite hits.
These could be the first bits that are slightly passing us, and then the big one could just miss us.
We do have one every 4 years, so so don't get excited.
Yeah, and it usually gets, which pisses me off, sort of. I find the report days after that, they are.
Oh yeah, it's always the next day, isn't it? Where it's like nobody will know about it until it's like, and then a meteorite nearly hit us yesterday. In other news,
but the last big one to it is they didn't know until they had 19 hours to find out where it was, and it hit the desert.
And that's when you call Harry Stamper and team in to come and drill that bad boy. What?
Yeah, that was in the late
Armageddon?
90s,
yeah, it was. It was a great film, late 90s film, amazing. Yeah.
But
apart from that little bit, just that one bit that really pisses me off.
What?
In that film, Armageddon, the film's great. Yeah, there's just one bit in it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where's that?
When he's lay on the ground with Liv Tyler. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's just off. He's just before he's going to blast off. It's that Batman. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, it's space, yeah.
Batfleck, yeah, and he's off to space. Yeah. And he's lay on the ground and he does this documentary wildlife bit, yeah, where he's with his animal cracker. And he goes, should it go up to the mountainous regions or down into the vagina? Do you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, Ben.
Yeah.
Ben.
You're going to see that, son.
Shit.
Then he goes blind.
What?
Didn't he go blind in it?
Nah, he was.
Or did he die?
He survived. He survived. Harry.
He went blind then.
Nobody. No one went blind.
Yeah, one of them opened the visors, didn't he? And he went blind.
Totally different film.
Sure.
Yeah,
it might have been.
So anyway,
it might be.
Moving on. That is the only bit in that film. Watch Armageddon. Armageddon's a great film. Like I say, it's got a bit of everything. It's got a bit of Aerosmith.
Yeah, I love the Aerosmith.
Oh, we'll Liv Tyler being, Fingy's daughter as well. Bit of trivia.
True that. Yeah.
I can close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby.
Someone that ugly develops something that nice.
I know, isn't it? I mean? It's like that's just boggles my mind.
That's sort of drugs, sex, and rock and roll, isn't it? Though, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Did he actually know that she was his daughter at the time? Because I remember it kind of like, was it like my papa, my long lost papa, and it turns out to be Steven Tyler from fucking Aerosmith.
I think it was the mid or early 90s where that come up, where she went looking for him or something.
Right.
Found him, and it was
worked out nice for her then, really, didn't it? To be honest.
Then I've heard some other stories about him, but that's another thing.
Another day. Well,
it's
read this story, which I thought was great. Yeah, right. Yeah. So the police sees nearly £1 million worth of MDMA in a workshop raid that turns out to be something a little bit different.
Yeah, go for it. So
the police reportedly raided a workshop and discovered nearly £1 million worth of drugs before realising it was just Haribos. So officers announced on Twitter that the Haribo, kids and grown-ups love it so.
Oh, yeah.
Because it gets you high like Haribo. Well, so the officers announced on Twitter that they'd found a haul in Saint-Ouen near Paris on Wednesday, and tweeted showing pictures of the drugs, both powdered and pill form. Right? Yeah. Makes your mind wonder, though, really, doesn't it?
It makes you
the whole operation, really. So, like, according to the caption, they were boasting that they had a successful mission and, you know, done the bust and got a load of evidence.
Go on, lads. You know your job. Go on, boys.
Said it was nearly £1 million worth of seized drugs, mobile phones and other stuff was found. But when they took it to a toxicology analysis on Thursday, they concluded that the powder seized was a neutral powder and was Haribo.
Oh my days!
And it was actually the to be specific, it was reportedly to be the crushed up, tanged strawberry made flavored sweets by Haribo.
Right.
So, you know.
Well, we were talking about this before, weren't we? Talking about how
why would you do it?
It could actually be for drugs.
Yeah, I reckon it is for drugs. Basically, some fucking smart ass has thought, I'm going to, do you know, people mix the drugs with this and that and the other. I'm going to mix it with fucking Haribo because it tastes nice. Yeah, right? And some bright ass has gone, I'll get all the powder ready, and then when I get me bulk MDMA drop off or whatever, I'll mix it all up. And everyone will be chewing tanged strawberry MDMA by the end of the night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then in that case as well, you're looking on the dangerous level because the sweets, and who has a lot of sweets? Yeah. So in another way, good for the bus. Just keep your fucking eye on him, because if he is doing that,
yeah. But I mean, it's like I think the people will know when the clubs reopen. Yeah, right. When everyone's going, do you want an Haribo?
Yeah, I could see that coming.
Oh, yeah. Can see that coming a mile away.
But it's just like, you know, put it in some adult stuff. Don't put it in the stuff where kids can
Tequila.
Yeah, we don't want kids dying on the fucking streets full of that shit. You know what I mean?
It's like, I know, yeah.
Just let the adults have their fun with it. Get the kids, keep the kids out of it.
Whew. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm talking about one mother who, should be keeping the kids out of it. Got this this story here. A mother's been charged with a deep fake plot against her daughter's cheerleading rivals. This is helicopter parent at its best. This, do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck me, my child will succeed. I will cut down any rival.
Yeah.
Well, a Pennsylvania woman's been accused of creating deep-faked pictures of her daughter's cheerleading rivals, doctoring photos and videos in an attempt to get them kicked off the squad.
So she's been accused but not charged?
Yeah, well, she's been accused. That's enough, isn't it? I mean, deep-fake, when you hear deep-fake, I mean, there's some great deep-fakes out there. The best one I've seen, by a long way, is Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland playing the roles of Doc and Marty in Back to the Future. And do you know what? I go on about not remaking that film, but to be fair, those two guys could probably pull it off, but I just don't see why you would. Do you know what I mean? Because they look so good that they could do those roles, they resemble Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox slightly. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But in that respect, why bother? Do you know what I mean? You don't need to.
What? I don't think you need to, because
it's all about your kids, Marty.
Yeah, it made Michael J. Fox and into
some might argue he was already really big. I mean, he made him a worldwide celebrity, but I mean, it's like
a lot of people remember him through that than any other film, I'd say.
He's probably, I mean, he opened the whole thing up for me in terms of like, oh, what other films has he done? Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. I've got to say that myself as
well.
Great
film, actually. The Secret to My Success. And can you find it on any streaming sites? Can you fuck? You can pay
if
for
you got it on DVD, then you've got some money.
I wanted that, mate. I wanted to watch it the other week, right? And I found it on one of the more undesirable streaming apps that doesn't. Yeah, dodgy one.
Yeah, it didn't work proper.
Cody. No, basically, it got me about 45 minutes into the film and then cut off.
No, I hate that when that happens. But that's how they get you, innit?
Just about to get off with his hot anti.
You don't want that, you got by the original.
Well, this woman, like I say, deep fakes, right? Yeah. So, deep faking's it's an art, mate. It's computer learning. Yeah, it's teaching a computer to replace subtle expressions, and it studies faces, right? It's not something that some soccer mum can fucking pick up overnight, unless she's a fucking like that, and she loves that shit. Yeah,
she might do.
This just sounds like someone's done a bit of Photoshop. Going back to photo editing debacles, right? It sounds like she's done a bit of Photoshop. And, this whole deep fake is a bit more to it. No.
Has she reported the picture out there?
No, there's no pictures.
Analyse it.
No pictures, unfortunately. I'm sure that's all being held for evidence.
Yeah. I would.
Apparently, the photos were put on social media of the three girls, basically getting up to all types of stuff. But the so-called deep fake pictures are just the girls basically just having fun. Do you know what I mean? I should imagine.
As girls do.
Yeah. So I don't think it's actually thing, but it's like the whole idea of this deep fake now. It's like the technology is going to get so good soon that you could put anyone in any situation, have photographic and video evidence. Right, and blackmail them to do whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like but it could also work on the opposite side, where that could be used to clear someone or put somebody in jail. Totally. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't know where this is going to go. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to watch it. You've got to be kind of careful.
I must say, I am glad there is at least, I know of at least one company, big company with quite a bit of money behind it, that's actually developing software to, stop all this kind of stuff happening. Because, like I've said before, like you won't be able to take me to court because I could turn around and say, well, that's happened. You're going to have to check it all out. And it might be fake or it might be true, but you're going to have to check it all out. So time's going to be on my side. It's going to destroy a lot of legality, I would say, on pictures and evidence on this, that, and the other.
Well, they say the camera never lies, but clearly it does.
I'm against Google having, this face recognition thing and this thing of putting a face together and actually putting a voice together and making it look as real as possible. And then, like,
but I mean, people are doing it now, where they're, even doing it as an experiment and an exercise to see how good you can make it. Now, there's even in filmmaking, there's been kind of a lot of examples of it recently. Some of them have been terrible. Some of them have been all right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas you can look at Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill recently in Star Wars, where they've deep faked younger faces or their faces on younger bodies. And I think with the deep fake stuff, it's all about how, the performance as well. So there's no point me going, right, I'm going to make you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and now you can put the voice on and, you know, I can make people believe that Arnie's up to all sorts. Yeah, but
if you've been looking at Arnie for God knows how long, and you know all
if I was to hire a bodybuilder who was the same height and fucking dimensions as Arnie, and then deep fake that guy, people would buy that a bit more and he was, like you say, studied his mannerisms and his movements. Then you'd get a better performance and therefore a more believable deep fake. Do you know?
Yeah.
When amateurs try it. Even when professionals try it, it looks a bit shoddy. Yeah, right? So I think if an amateur was to try it, like this woman, it's easily noticeable. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So
she must have been copped out soon as she showed the photo. It was like, bam,
fuck
I've got the evidence. Fuck off, I've got the original here, mate.
Yeah,
fuck off.
Serious? Well,
so if they got the original, that one's definitely got to be fake.
That's
bam.
Well, true, as we discussed earlier on, you know, like
you know what I mean?
the Sea Rock, you know, in terms of like, well, where's the original in the negative? So,
exactly,
which one's legit? If you know, if you ask me, but
has to be original,
then again, if you know who's lying, is that the original? Is that the
after, you know?
Anyway, have we got any NASA news this week?
We have, but I've got one more normal story.
Go
news.
For it. We're just a bit pressed on. It's been a long episode this week.
It has. There's some good news for the over 75s in England.
TV license.
Will not be facing any action over TV license payments. And that comes from the BBC.
Well, if it comes from the BBC, then...
So then they've started all this shit for fuck all.
Yeah.
Basically. They started all this shit for fuck all and keeping us busy.
Well, no, what's happened is we've won there.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
We've won there because people got pissed off, man. Wait a minute, there's going to be no legal action against over 75-year-olds.
Yeah, no.
But they're still expecting them to pay for the TV licence?
No, because if they turn around and go, no, I ain't paying it, go and shove off, then the BBC are going to go, okay then, we can't press charges because we've stated that we will not press charges to anyone over 75.
Now, is this just this year, though, or is this ongoing like a...
Well, this is it. Things are changing.
Honestly, yeah, you can't... we could turn around and say, well, we only did it this year because of the previous year and people were confused and didn't know. Yeah, and that's why they've occurred legal charges. But they know now, so next year we'll have them.
Yeah, because it was mainly because they were looking at legal charges against them for it. But then
it's one to watch that.
And the new Director General has already stopped some left-wing programs that have been on. And he seems to be...
It's amazing because it's like even now, like they're moving the schedules around and stuff like that. I noticed someone was saying Top Gear's on BBC One now.
Yeah. I was recording it tonight, actually.
Illegal.
Who says it's illegal? You've got to find the proof, mate.
Oh, yeah, well, he's not watching it live, is he?
I'm under no contract.
Well, there you go. Well,
is it?
Got some NASA news.
Yeah, with NASA.
So, SpaceX is reportedly very close to completing the assembly of the Super Heavy prototype.
Good.
That's going to be shooting off the Starship into orbit.
Nice.
So, it's completed stacking of its first super heavy prototype, reports say. News comes in after CEO Elon Musk. And he's not the CEO now anyway, is he? Is like the
second under, isn't he?
No. What's he say? What's his title?
Oh yeah.
Supreme. Oh no, you can't.
Supreme leader of the world.
No, he's the Techno King, isn't he? Techno King Elon Musk had revealed photos of the rocket boosters on Twitter. SpaceX's obviously first commercial flight around the moon is scheduled for 2023.
Yeah, nice.
Would you go on it?
You know, if I had the opportunity, I'd say yeah. To be honest, yeah.
Oh, there you go. If you want to send us on a trip round the moon, you need to go to our Patreon and donate. Yeah, get over there, and then maybe we could do that for us. We could be the first podcast to broadcast or record on a trip to the moon. How about that? Get onto Patreon.
We're on our way to Mars, aren't we? So
we're all going to Mars already. Do you know what I mean? What more do you want?
Yeah, exactly. We're taking on the universe, never mind the world.
So it's completed its stacking, right? So I'm assuming that's like getting it all
stacked
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the name, and it says on the tin.
So. Yeah.
Which is around about 220 feet tall. It's got a wingspan of a Boeing 747, and obviously it's got the Starship on top.
Yeah, the Enterprise.
Which is reported to add another 160 feet to the height.
Nice.
So Elon Musk obviously is
putting a lot of effort and money into this.
Yeah, but I'm wondering now, right? I mean, he's supposedly the richest man on Earth now, isn't he?
Yeah.
This is crazy from where he came from. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Little bedroom tech guy.
Well, it just shows you that you can get from nowhere to somewhere.
And that's why they call me the Techno King. Tesla. Sorry.
It might have just been at the right place at the right time and had the right knowledge of the right substance, and he, brought it together. But, it could happen to anyone at the end of the day. It's just luck and, use your brains.
Anyone with brains, it could happen to you.
Anyone with brains and a little bit of influence
and a little bit of luck
somewhere.
Right. So, any more? Any space news? Anything going on in the? You've not.
I have, and it actually contains Elon Musk again.
Go on, Supreme Techno King.
Yeah, the Techno King has his staff has stopped a 19-year-old Russian spy from.
You pesky Russians!
At his Nevada electric plant for hacking and trying to get basically information within the...
Trying to find out his secrets.
Yeah.
Because I thought that when you mentioned about this plant early to me, I was like, what are they going to get from a power plant? Do you know what I mean? But
yeah. A lot if
you think about it, right? Because they might have built something similar, but then they can't fine tune it, and they're trying to get those little bits. It's like Iron Man in his arc reactor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'll always be people after the tech, or I don't know, Rick Sanchez and his portal device.
That's true, but even China's got their nose into him as well, and told him that China's military are saying if your Tesla cars turn out to have spyware in them in China, then we will close you down, because that's their biggest market apart from the US. Their second biggest market is China.
Well, China are pissed off because of the Huawei thing, aren't they? Right.
Well, yeah.
So they're trying to say, well, no, because we've just done that to them, right? We've turned around and said we're not going ahead with your 5G plans. You've invested money in infrastructure. We're not going ahead with it. We're going to do our own thing, And Huawei, government-owned in China, right? It's not just a corporation. It's a government agency, right? They're a government communications agency owned by the Chinese government, Huawei, right? Yeah. Might make mobile phones and all that, but that's the problem, isn't it? When a government is providing a piece of technology for sale, that has got spyware built in, that they can get that data, then that's dangerous. You can't have that in your country. That's like a breach of national security, if anything. Because what happens if I'm the Prime Minister and I buy a Huawei phone? Do you know what I mean? Am I getting tapped? Am I getting like all my emails intercepted? I don't know.
Whereas, but don't you think that's happening now?
Probably, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like China are now retaliating, it seems, by saying, well, if we're going to be buying your technologies from like America and the UK and anywhere else, then we don't want it to have any spyware in either, and that's fair enough. I think you should be kind of keeping your an eye on what's going on and what's coming into your country in terms of like fucking new technologies.
Yeah, totally. It's just one of them. It's still, countries are always going to spy on each of countries. You think that
Russia's always going to spy on people.
Russians in there and in the Russian consulates and that they've got spies. They've got them everywhere. At the end of the day, you're going to have spies everywhere. But it's how much detail they find out, and and it's a big. If you think about it, it is a big money thing. It is a big money thing.
Of course it is. It's like it's thingy, isn't it? What's the word? Like industrial espionage. Like when you've got people trying to spy on other companies to find out their secrets and stuff like that. It's different though, because I think we've mentioned this before. Because when it comes to government secrets are government secrets. But if I was a owner of a company like Elon Musk, then I've got, my secrets then are,
even more
secret, because at the end of the day, this is my business, and the whole company could go under if someone stole my technology or my fucking secret sauce or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason.
I was thinking of.
There's a reason why these companies, they go, oh, we do things a little bit differently, because it's like that's what the customers responded to, and they want to kind of keep, be that special, have that special sauce, or have that fucking bit of technology that nobody else has. And, people will be out there trying to steal it until they can, reverse engineer it themselves or whatever, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, it's just a part of the way it is.
I found this one last story in NASA News. It's a UFO sighting, and it seems like a lot more prominent people are coming out and saying that they've had encounters, because this week is a model, Joe Wood, is opened up about witnessing 3 alien UFOs. And she says it was an eye-opener. So she's an alien UFO enthusiast and obsessed with all things alien, and claims that she's witnessed unexplained UFO phenomenon at least 3 times on 3 different occasions.
Good. There's another one on our side. What makes her so lucky? Yeah.
What makes her so lucky?
It not necessarily might not be that. It might be the case that she was being able to visualize it, and we're all getting kidnapped, but we just don't know it.
Well,
they're the ones who are finding, it's coming to their conscience.
Well, she claims that she's one of a sizable group of showbiz alumni who believes in alien life are somewhere out there. She says that one time when she was travelling across South America in 1998 with her 2 children and then husband, who was Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones, she basically said she saw something there in Brazil, in the northeastern coast. She had a sausage-shaped craft, she saw. And then Joe recalls how the night before they were due to leave, Ronnie shouted, Joe, come, quick, there's another weird light. And they saw another bizarre object flying over.
Yeah.
So she says she's seen a few, do you know what I mean? And she's travelled a bit around, do you know what I mean? So it seems like it wasn't just in the one place, but
different locations. Yeah, it's good. I'm glad that more and more people coming forward. So then it has to go to. Eventually, it would have to go to the governments, and the governments would have to actually answer that question, because if the majority of turn around and go, right, we want this question answered, even if it's under national security, you're going to have to answer it, because
it's getting to the point where there's too many like high level. I wouldn't. Well, I suppose. Joe Wood and Ronnie Wood both seeing something. It's kind of like puts a bit more credibility onto it when more celebrities or people in the spotlight say it. But then again, is it just a kind of a publicity stunt to get them back in on the news sheets, on the broadsheets and stuff? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. But to be honest,
we've been a bit sceptical tonight, me.
Yeah,
to say
the
least.
The idea that at least it's come out, kind of thing, and it's
definitely
had a little bit of broadcast about it.
Wow.
So it gets more chatted about, I would say.
Well, what do you guys think at home? Do you think that celebrities are coming out? Well, it's not just celebrities. I mean, it's like quite high official people coming out and talking more about aliens. I think it's only a good thing.
Yeah, and more of it. It's just a shame that when the people in the power at that time can't turn around and say it, but that's why they have to sign these secret acts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
It's a shame, but at the end of the day, national security, suppose, does come first. It is the first duty of a country to look after the people.
Indeed. Well, we've got to move on now because it's coming towards the end of the show. But before we do that, we do have a promo. This week it's for Geek Exploration, the podcast. Each week, John and Ben pick a new topic for the Geek Exploration from the Geek Sphere, if you like, and do a deep dive into it. So we've got a promo to check out.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Geek Exploration, the podcast. I'm John Williams.
And I'm Ben Robinson. Do you like time travel?
Movies.
Video games?
Comics.
Sci-fi?
Cartoons.
Or how about action figures?
Well, so do we. Every episode, we pick a topic from the Geekosphere and have a little chat about it.
So if you've been waiting for a groundbreaking podcast that does all of this and more, you might have what it takes to be a Geek Explorer.
Come join us every other Tuesday for a fresh installment of Geek Exploration, the podcast.
You can find us at geeksplorationpodcast.com or any reputable podcatcher. Likely a few unreputable ones.
Thanks again to John and Ben.
Yes.
For supplying our featured podcast this week. Make sure you go over and check them out wherever you get your podcast on every podcast platform, no matter where you get your podcasts.
Yes.
Getting tongue twisted there.
You are.
If you want to help us out, you know what to do. You can get over to Patreon at www.patreon.com/neverastraightanswer. We've got a few tiers there for helping us out, and it really does. Or you can go over to Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/NASAPod. Both are the same things, similar things. All good ways to support us. If not, you can get over to the website and get yourself some merch. New T-shirts are coming soon, though, so you might want to hold on.
Special editions.
Oh, excellent. I can't wait. But again, if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. We're available on Twitter at NASA_never, over on Instagram at neverstraightanswer, and we're available wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube, on iHeartRadio, Castbox, iTunes, Google Podcasts, the lot. We're available everywhere. If not, just go to our website at neverastraightanswer.co.uk, where you can find pretty much everything there under one roof.
Yes,
like Toys R Us. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
With no
Except
giraffes.
We're not.
Yeah. Well, we're still there. Yeah.
We're still here. Yeah.
And if not sure, you can just Google Never a Straight Answer with the first thing that comes up in the list. Because we're awesome. So,
that's awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us for tonight's episode. We'll catch you next week for another thrilling episode of this show. As usual. And I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
We've been the Never a Straight Answer podcast. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening. Peace.
See you later, kiddo.